Okay, for day 6 of our 30 minutes a day of well-being, first of all, I'll just let you into one of the tensions that's going on here, which is the tension between focus and creativity. Now, I read a book recently on team structure, and the best mix of a team is to have 20% of someone with my predisposition, and then 80% more grounded implementation. So for an extremely dynamic team, you want one person or you want 20% of the energy to be innovative, new, exploring new possibilities all the time, and you want about 80% to be disciplined, grounded, focused, follow through, and troubleshooting and pessimism and what about this and that. So one of the things that I'm aware of is that since I'm not on a team, but am the team, that this is actually skewing things a little bit in a questionable direction. So we're going to explore and see over the next 30 days, is there just a lot of stuff that just is way too big to ground and goes nowhere? Or are there some things that that actually get done, that are useful? So just to follow up a little bit, so the Fiverr activity is kind of slow. I think I gave them some big challenges, and so I haven't actually received a report yet. So that's humming along in the background. There's a possible video project within this 30-day period to graphically show and illustrate the impact of a woman choosing not to have another child in a industrialized country, and the potent effect this has, particularly global. That one of the single most powerful decisions about our global well-being in the next 100 years lies solely in the hands of women, particularly educated and wealthier women whose children consume extraordinary amounts of resources environmentally and time-wise. And so that's humming along in the background. Meanwhile, what's been emerging today is thoughts about AI and protocols. So basically, what I've done today is explore in my own imagination some of the possible upsides that I can imagine around AI, and put that on a video recording, which I'll leave on this channel. And that brings me back to this question of this engineering of optimal teams, and the fact that when anyone is working alone, as I am in this project, that one's natural personality bias towards creativity, innovation, or towards discipline. And I think that's even more the case when we're looking at a situation where I'm wanting this to be fun. There's no doubt that the idea part is the fun part. And so a little bit of a hedge to that issue is the timelessness of videos and the freeness that because this is a project in which the goal is not to make money, the goal is to bring as many units of well-being on all levels for as many people for as long a time as possible. There's no proprietariness around these ideas. And so one of the indirect ways that I can play a more effective team role is simply putting thoughts into a video format and titling them and then sticking them out there on the web so that I can be an anonymous virtual team member. And now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that what I do when I'm learning and growing is I use YouTube as a resource for inspiration, a resource for data, a resource for possibilities. And so in that way, every single video that I watch is part of my team. And so some of my team is data, and some of my team is positive energy, and some of my team is future vision, and some of my team is actions, things that I can do right now. Some of my team is very short and succinct. Some of my team is extremely long and detailed. I watch videos that are up to 6 hours long. And so in this way, and then I pull things together that are useful for a decision. In fact, my team for this 30-day project is as follows. Number one, Terence McKenna and a lot of his thoughts about eschatology and our future. Number two, listening to, I believe it was a TED Talk, but it doesn't really matter. It was a YouTube video about a woman and her child starting a kindness project, doing something kind every day, and how that had kind of caught on in schools. And that probably gave me the 30-day framework notion. And then there was another TED Talk about asking for unusual things. It was kind of an unusual ask diary that I listened to a month ago. And then I was looking at various life experiences and things in my own life, and the fact that having a positive focus for myself every day that was exciting, etc., would be a real gift to my own life. And then there's this awareness that whenever you set a goal and have a discipline, I've always experienced since first starting goal setting in my teens, more than 20 years ago, that whenever I clearly define written goals, I'm roughly 400% more potent at accomplishing them. So these are all parts of my team, all these inspiration, data, suggestion, patterns, and ideas. And so in a certain way, I want to potentially be on other people's teams, not, these people who have touched my life, who have led to this project. They do not know their impact on me. They don't know their impact on you. They don't know that I'm talking to you because of them. But it's true that somewhere when I was 14 years old, one source recommended goals, and that's given me the life experience and stuff that's reminded me of of that input, and that they play a part in this happening today. And so my wish in talking about important ideas that will shape our human future is to play a similar role for the odd person here and there over the next 20 years, that someone hearing something here who forgets my name and forgets my face, but who takes a kernel, a gestated idea, and starts dancing with that idea and adding to it, like a chef adding different flavors and recipes, and that down the line, I am, in effect, part of someone else's team. And so putting these things out there publicly is my contribution to that aspect of the project. But we're also going to see over time, does anything actually take place in solid physicality over the next 30 days that can have a measurable impact in well-being on more than my own life. I would say that for right now, what's certain is about a 15% increase in well-being on my sweetheart's life and about a 30% increase in well-being in my own life, which is my biggest encouragement to you to start this 30-minute, 30-day project yourself today, is that if a positive focus could be medicine for your well-being, medicine for ungroundedness, medicine for aimlessness, medicine for meaninglessness, medicine for loneliness, medicine for negativity, meaning the brain ruminates on the negative by default. That's its focus in the reptilian brain, to exaggerate everything that could go wrong in the idea that that would help protect us from those things, to figure them out. So the brain ruminates on the negative. So when you inject positivity, you give it an alternate focus. You give it something. And so, if any of these diseases, if any of these states are part of your psyche, your heart, mind, body matrix right now, then injecting this project into your ecosphere could transform things in the way that they are for me. The other thing that I started working on today is a project with one of my therapists, where I was analyzing what went wrong in the relationship, namely that without a questionnaire, without any focus on diagnosis, without any focus on updated reports on well-being, over a 10-year period, they're largely clueless about how effective they have and have not been in different areas. And since my paradigm is treating the mental and emotional body with the same scientific rigor as we treat our physical body, particularly as more and more science is showing the interconnectivity between heart, mind, and body, that we need to show respect, we need to show discipline to our emotional body and our mental body. We need to diagnose, we need to have questionnaire, we need to track the progress in the same way a doctor in a hospital will track vitals, will track cholesterol, will track various physical indicators. We need to respond. And that not taking place and noticing, the disappointment that I have felt with this particular therapist, and realizing it's not just them, that I've worked with 30, terrible to very good healing practitioners in the mental emotional terrain over the last 20 or so years. And not one of them has done the thorough protocol for mental emotional diagnosis and response tracking and follow-up. And so what I've been doing is, first of all, learning through pain. I think pain is a beautiful teacher. It's an honest and a beautiful teacher. If there is pain, there is something in the environment, or there has been something internalized that was originally in the environment that is sick. that is not conducive to well-being for the person that's feeling pain. And pain is the biggest teacher of what that might be, number one. And so tracking pain, as well as other states of well-being, is actually very, very vital in this arena. So what I'm doing is I'm giving thought to an application that could, I don't know if you've ever been to a chiropractor or something and they give you, it's like going to the government and fill out your name 6 times on 5 bits of paper that nobody ever looks at again. You don't get a copy. Fill it out again at the next practitioner. You repeat the same information on multiple. It's just disgusting. It's a complete waste of time. And then you do it again and again, and then there's no follow-up. There's no 1 to 10 scale of how this or that is doing in response to the particular treatment. And I think that's needed. I think the practitioners need to get this information digitally in one time, that you kind of put in your own app stuff, number one. Number two, the practitioner needs the detailed feedback of how much impact their protocol is having in the areas affected. They need to know the full picture, and they need to tell you what they can and cannot do, what their goal is to ameliorate. In other words, if you go to a chiropractor and you've got depression and you've got shame and you've got terror and you've got nightmares and you've got this anxiety and you've got a sore thing here and a sore thing, they have to be clear of which of that stuff that they're trying to influence, number one. They need feedback as how much they are influencing during the session, after the session, for the first week, which you can easily slide in a graph on a phone app. It's like physical 6 had a 6 out of 10 benefit that trailed off over the next week and then nothing. Emotionally, no benefit whatsoever. Mentally, I learned some nice things that led to this, this, and this. Simultaneously, I'm doing these other things. And this needs to be available to other members as well, anonymously. I mean, you don't need to know your personal stuff, but people need to get a feeling of what's helping with what, to what degree, for what amount of time, at what cost. How much does it cost to see a chiropractor? How much time, how much money, how soon are the results seen in a given area of conditions? Because this is important. This is about our human well-being. So I've just begun fiddling, and I've made a little bit of a beginning video about that. And I'll probably do one more video, kind of a vision of the app, and that will be today's project.